I was like, how can that relate to us? How can some of this stuff relate to us? How can we apply some of the things that these people did and apply it to our life? What can we see out of this event that happened? And we'll read verses 2 through 12, and then I'll give you a few different points that I have on here. Um, Luckily, I have it in bigger print because I didn't have my glasses today, and I was going to read it off my phone. Well, my phone has lots of cracks all over it, so I was guaranteed to probably have to hold it up here and read, and I didn't want to be up here reading off of my phone, making it look like I'm playing on a phone. So I had my wife print it up for me, made the font bigger, so I don't have to have my glasses. So, isn't it good? God provided computers to us, the things that we can do nowadays. The things that we can do nowadays, we have so much more technology and advantages of what people did back in the old days. You didn't have a vehicle that could go 80 miles an hour if you had to. You don't. You didn't have fire trucks to go put out fires if you had to. You didn't have all those resources. But I will say the Romans built some really good roads to last as long as they did, comparison to Trinidad City's brick roads. I think they should be able to pick up on some of the Romans' technology and probably apply it, and we would probably have some pretty good stuff. So not all things that were done back then are good. So, all right, if you will, Mark chapter number 2, and we'll read 2 through 12. And straightway many were gathered together, insomuch that there was no room to receive them, no, not so much about the door. And he preached the word unto them. And they came unto him, bringing one sick of the palsy, which was borne of four. And when they could not come nigh unto him for the press, they uncovered the roof where he was. And when they had broken it up, they let down the bed wherein the sick of the palsy lay. When Jesus saw their face, he said unto the sick of the palsy, Son, thy sins be forgiven thee. But there were certain of the scribes sitting there and reasoning in their hearts, Why doth this man speak blasphemies? Who can forgive sins but God only? And immediately when Jesus perceived in his spirit that they so reasoned within themselves, he said unto them, Why reason ye these things in your hearts? Whether it is easier to say to the sick of the palsy, Thy sins be forgiven thee, or say, Arise, and take up thy bed and walk. But that ye may know that the Son of Man hath power on earth to forgive sins. He says to the sick of the palsy, Say unto thee, Arise, and take up thy bed, and go thy way into thine house. And immediately he arose, took up thy bed, and went forth before them all, insomuch that they were all amazed, and glorified God, saying, We never saw it on this fashion. So you see here, we have this group of people that are bringing this person that is sick to Jesus Christ. They were trying to bring him there because they knew that he was there. And what they found was when they got there, there was no way of getting inside. Imagine if this building was packed with people all the way to the door, elbow to elbow. It's going to be hard to get from that door up to right here. It's plain out going to be hard, especially as it said they had to drop them down to Jesus Christ from breaking the roof up and bring them down to Jesus Christ from a bed. That's be kind of hard to go through a crowd of people carrying somebody on a bed, would it not? I think it would. I mean, it's probably hard enough to try to squish through somebody just being yourself. So you see here, it wasn't easy. But they did get to this place that they wanted to be. They did get to where Jesus Christ was. So one of the things I wanted to see here is through it all that we need to apply to our lives is commitment. It takes commitment to be able to do that. It takes commitment to go forward and keep doing what it is, although they had a obstacle in front of them. Same thing with us in our lives. We always have obstacles in front of us at all times. Do we see them all the time? No. We don't always see them. But as we go through life and as we go through the day, things pop up. You might get a phone call. You got to do this. You might have somebody standing in your way. You might have a car that's sitting at a stop sign that's not moving fast enough. Who knows? You never know what the obstacle is going to be. But we always have an obstacle in our life. And we have to commit to what it is that we're doing. And my thing is, what is commitment? What is commitment? Commitment means that certain decisions are made in advance irrespective of the circumstances. I will honor Christ, whatever the pain, whatever the cost. That is a commitment. A commitment that you have to say, all right, I know I want to get from here to there. I'm going to do whatever it takes to get from point A to point B, no matter what the cost is. No matter what it is that we have to suffer to get to that point. But we have to have that commitment. We need that commitment to be able to continue to go forward. Because without that commitment, we're just going to stop. We're just going to stop in our tracks and not keep going when we don't have that commitment. So, am I saying a commitment is easy to do? No. How many of us on a New Year resolution, majority of people always say, I'm going to get in better shape this year. I'm going to go to the gym. Let's make it easy. Once a week. Granted, it's hard to get in shape going once a week, but let's just say once a week. If you don't go, you're going to find yourself falling out and not being committed to it. Commitment means, okay, I'm going to do it this week, the next week, the next week, the next week, and so on. But that one day that we have to go to the gym, I stayed up way too late. I had to work yesterday. I don't want to go. Somebody asked me to go to eat breakfast with them. Man, that just blew my time, blew my diet. I will tell you, every time you say you're going to go on a diet, somebody's going to say something. Do you want to come and eat this? Just saying. If it's steak, you're okay. Steak or chicken, you're okay. But if they say to come over, even at that, I can guarantee you most people have a dessert at the end. Uncle pastors, that'd be chocolate, some kind of chocolate cake. But you never know. There's always that one thing that's going to take you out of it. There's always going to be that temptation to make you forget what you've committed. And with them, they were committed to take their friend to see Jesus Christ, to try to get him healed. They were committed to go forward and try to get him there. And you can see in verse 2 and 4, or 2 through 4. And straightway many were gathered together, insomuch that there was no room to receive them, no, not so much as the door. And he preached the word unto them, and they came unto him, bringing one sick of the palsy, which was bore for. And when they could not come nigh unto him for the press, they uncovered the roof where he was, and when they had broken it up, they let down the bed wherein the sick of the palsy lay. They could have given up. They could have felt it's not worth the trouble to go through this. Think about this. It took effort. It took time. They had to take this person that couldn't walk on their own, their bed from wherever their house was, and walk or if they even had a wagon, they still had to pull it somehow if they didn't have a horse. But they got the person there. So they could have said, you know what, I'm tired, I'm done. Only to find out when they get there that it's packed and they can't get in. Oh, I'm not even going to try to fight through this crowd. Did they keep going? Yes, they kept going. Man, so what'd they do? They got on top of the roof. How'd they get on top of the roof? Probably somebody had to climb a tree or something. Or maybe they all was like, all right, you stand on my shoulder, next person stand on my shoulder, and then, so on. And then finally somebody gets on top of the roof. They didn't have windows in roofs back then, so they couldn't just shatter a window. So therefore, they had to take whatever it is they built the roof with. Taking that's not an easy job either. Anybody that's done any kind of roofing or construction work knows that it takes effort to be able to break something apart that's been put together. So therefore, they're taking this roof apart. And I'm quite sure, even if you just said my size to get me down, you're going to have that big of a hole at least. But they said they put them down in a bed. They said they put them down in bed. I can guarantee you a bed don't fit no hole this big. They were probably tired, exhausted. Is it even worth doing what it is that they were doing? But they were committed to it. They were committed to get their friend to Jesus Christ. They were committed to doing that. Not an easy task. Not an easy task. Commitment is not easy. But is commitment worth it? Yes. Commitment is worth it. But it is not always an easy task. We need to be committed to what it is God has given us. We need to be committed to what it is that we want to do for the Lord. Because if not, you'll feel like you just want to give up. You'll feel tired. You won't want to move on. You won't want to keep pushing forward. So we need to see and remember what we are committed to and why we are committed to it. And then the second thing I want you to see is, what is the cost? What's the cost? Most of the times we go through life and things and stuff, and all right, we're going to do this. We're committed to what it is we're going to do. We're going to do this. But have we ever thought of what the cost is? Have we ever thought of what it's really going to cost to be able to do what it is that we want to pursue? As in verse 3 through 4, and they came unto him, bringing one sick of the palsy, which was borne for, and when they could not come nigh unto him for the press, they uncovered the roof where he was, and when they had broken it up, they let down the bed wherein the sick of the palsy lay. What was the cost? What was the cost? It takes time. It takes effort to see what God can do. It takes time and effort to see what God can do. The person they brought was sick with the palsy. He couldn't walk. So therefore, they had to take the time to carry him. So therefore, it requires work. It required work. You can't say, I'm going to take this there or do this without putting work into it. I can say all I want to that I'm going to lose weight this year. I can say it all I want. But will I ever lose weight if I don't put work into it? No. What's the cost? Time, effort. And it took more effort after that effort. Why? Well, you see here when they went, they had to take the bed and everything of their friend. They had to take it and bring it That they already knew it was going to be work. They already knew it was going to take work to get him to Jesus Christ. But what they did not figure in is that when they get there, there's going to be a whole bunch of people and they're going to have to get on a roof and break it up. They didn't think of any of that. They didn't know that that was going to be part of what it is that they had to do. There's a lot of times in our life when we're doing things for God, we run into something else. And it's like, we have a choice to make. Are we going to keep going? Are we going to keep moving forward? Or are we just going to stop and say, oh, no, this isn't what we planned for. This isn't what we committed to. This isn't what we had in mind. We can look at it that way and just say, oh, forget it. It wasn't part of our plan, so I'm not doing it. We could. They didn't. They were just like, oh, their mind was still committed on the one thing of getting their friend to Jesus Christ. They didn't think of all the other cost that was going to happen. There are stuff that will happen in our lives. There are stuff and roadblocks that we will face along our journey with our commitment to Jesus Christ. But are we going to give up? Are we going to stop there? Or are we going to get on that rooftop, break it open, and keep moving forward? It's a choice you have. I know you're tired. By the time you take a bed with somebody on it, carrying it, you're going to be tired when you get to whatever destination. I would like anyone to carry me from here to just the house over there and tell me you're not tired. Just saying. By the time you get from here to that house, you're going to be tired. Now I want you to take me up on top of the roof. I'm not climbing the ladder for you. You're taking me up. Who wants to do that? Al Grantree, I'll say not me. Not me. I'll be happy if I can make it from here to that door with somebody. Well, maybe Nathaniel or Judah. I might be able to carry them from here to the door and then be all right. Not out of breath too much. But if I had to carry somebody else, I'm probably not going to make it. More or less try to make it on top of a roof. Are we going to keep going just because that additional time, that additional effort that has to be made? Are we going to give up? Are we going to give up? Or are we going to keep going? We don't think of those things. We're not guaranteed everything that we need. We're not guaranteed every detail to get from point A to point B. Because I'm quite sure there's a lot of us that have been on a trip somewhere and has had something happen that has not been planned for in that trip. It's happened. So, what are we going to keep doing? Are we just going to keep moving on? Or are we going to stop? If you're committed fully, you should keep pressing on. Keep going. Keep moving. It's not time to stop yet. It's not time to stop yet. When we go out into the world, when we go out and invite people to church, when we're thinking, all right, we're going to go out and we're going to tell somebody. We're going to tell somebody on visitation. Our whole object on visitation is to go give people the gospel. What do we run into? Well, of course you run into people, because that was your whole goal. But do we think about the door that's going to get slammed on us? Do we think about somebody coming to the door with a gun and scaring us off? Or what if maybe you're going on visitation and you get a flat tire? We helped Brother Jones and them to go move their stuff out of the shed. Guess what we didn't plan for? We didn't plan for one of the vehicles to break down. We didn't plan for it. What do we do when that happens? Do we give up? Do we keep going? It's not always an easy thing. Something might be really hard. Something might be really easy. But if we're committed to what it is God has for us fully, we should still push on just like these people did, trying to get their friend to Jesus Christ. Our whole goal is to go out there and lead people to Christ, to show them the way, to help them. It's not an easy thing. Some of us don't like talking. Some of us don't like being around people, especially when they're crazy. I'm not one of them, just saying. But we don't. Some of us don't like crowds. Some of us don't. There's certain things some of us don't like that other people do. And it makes it harder for us to pursue what it is that we need to. It makes us harder for it. But that doesn't mean to stop. Because what would have happened if they stopped? They would have never got their friend to Jesus Christ, would they? No. They would have never got their friend there. And another thing I want you to see, you're not alone. You're not alone in it. This life of Christianity, you're not alone. When serving Jesus Christ, we're together. But oftentimes, we always feel like we're alone. We feel like we're not worth what it is that we're doing. Sometimes we get down and we don't see what it is God has for us. We don't want to keep pressing onward. But what we have to realize is that we are never alone in what it is that we're doing for God. We're never alone. As it says in verse number 3, it says, and they came unto him. And they came unto him. Just so you know, I'm quite sure they is a plural word. I'm quite sure. Any English expert, if I'm saying this wrong, if they is not plural, let me know. I'm already bad enough with English. So if you could ask Pastor and some other people, if they could have written down all these different words that I've said, and you could have had a book made of Willisms. That's what they call it. Because I just say random things that ain't even a word sometimes. But boy, it sounds like it could be one. It sounds like it could be one. So you see, it's plural. Don't ever feel like you're the only one doing something. Don't feel like you're the only one that is taking this task up and you're just not worth it. Don't ever think that. Everyone has a part. No one is more important than the other. Everyone has a part. We are all a part of the body of Christ. If one person stops, the whole thing gets messed up. It's not easy to do a job if you only have one arm, or one foot, or one eye. It's not easy to do any of that. But when you have everything together, you can do what you need to do. You can see what you need to see. You can pick up what you need to pick up. Run where you need to run. Walk where you need to go. See where you need to go. Not one person in here is exempted from what God has as a whole. There are going to be times where you feel like you are the only one doing anything, and you might think in the back of your head, Lord, why doesn't anybody else around here do anything? You might think that sometimes, but you need to remember that you're not alone in it. You need not to be discouraged and not think that, okay, I'm doing this all on my own. I don't have help. If there's something you're doing, ask for help. You know why? Look around you. There's people in this building. There's people in the pew right beside you that will be willing to help. But if you don't ask, how are they supposed to know that you need it? Some of us are just really stubborn and we don't want to ask. Some of us are. It's just our it's just our nature. We don't want to be the ones that look like we're the weak ones. We don't want to be the one that looks like we can't do nothing. We don't want to be the ones that people look at and like, oh, look at them. They got problems. Let me tell you something. I guarantee you got a problem right now. I guarantee you. You got a problem right now. Do you need help with it? Because I don't know your problem. But if you don't ask, you receive not because you ask not. But you never need to feel like you're alone in it. You never need to feel that this walk with Jesus Christ, that you can't come to somebody and you can't come to him. Somebody's here for you. Somebody is here for you all the time. They took their friend to Jesus Christ. It's a group effort. It's a group thing. You need to be together. There's a lot of churches that you don't always have that. But God wants us to all be in one accord, being on the same page. I'm not saying that if we're doing something that everybody has to be able to do the exact same thing. I can guarantee you, if we had a 150-pound bag of whatever, let's say cement, because I know it's kind of heavy, and it's, you don't have to have a very big bag to reach 150 pounds of cement. I don't think Brother Gill would be capable of carrying 150 pounds, except in a wheelbarrow maybe. Now, he might not be able to, but somebody else probably could, right? Some of these younger ones, I don't know if I'd be able to carry 150 pounds. It's been a long time since I've even remember what 150 pounds was like. I haven't had to carry that much in a long time. But I do know at one point I was able to carry 150 pounds from landscaping. So whether I can now or not, that's another story. And don't put me to the test because I don't want to find out. I don't want to see what I can do. Might hurt myself. But if Brother Gill is trying to take that up on his own, he should know that there's other people here to help him. But if you don't ask, I can't help him. You can't help him. The same thing with you kids. If y'all are going through something and you don't have a clue what it is that you're doing, don't go to your friends for help sometimes. Because what you might need is your parent or an elder that has been through and knows what it is that you could do and need to do. I can guarantee you that your friends will not always give you the best advice. I can guarantee you your friends will not always give you the best advice. I've had some. None of it really ended up very well either. Let's just say back in my day, when I was younger, crazy. Sometimes you wonder, how can I make more money? As a kid, you would like to have a little more money, don't you? You would like to have a little more money. Well, guess what? One really good advice that wasn't very good advice that I thought was wonderful because it was my friends. Why don't you go sell some drugs? Hey, I can make a lot of money. Well, granted, I did too much of that. I've done that. Was it great advice? Nope. Who did it come from? My peers. Not good advice. It wasn't good advice at all. When you need help, you need to go to the people that can actually help. Go to those that can lead in the direction that you need to be led. And know that you're not alone. You want to learn how to make money? Go to your parents. They can show you how to make money. Because guess what? We've been making money to pay our bills for quite a while now. Some of us, sometimes, we find the hard way of making money. Sometimes some things are easier. But we need to realize that no matter what it is that we're doing, we're never alone in what it is that we are doing. We should not feel like we are the only ones doing whatever it is God has for us. We're not the only ones. We're not the only ones. And number 4, don't get discouraged. Don't get discouraged. Look at verse 6 through verse 8. But there were certain of the scribes sitting there and reasoning in their hearts, why doth this man speak blasphemy? Who can forgive sin but God only? And immediately when Jesus perceived in his spirit that they so reasoned with themselves, he said unto them, why reason ye these things in your hearts? The world is going to attack us. If they're sitting there attacking Jesus Christ, they're going to attack us for the exact same stuff. Don't forget, when we go from door to door or going somewhere and telling people about Jesus Christ, it's not you that they're attacking. It's not you that they're putting down. It's not you they're beating into the ground. It's not you. You need to see that when we do things for Jesus Christ, it's Jesus Christ that they're rejecting. It's Jesus Christ that they're trying to beat down, that they're pushing away, not you. You're a servant doing what God wants you to do. You're acting on his behalf. It's not you that they're attacking. We need not to get discouraged over these things. When we commit to what it is God has for us, we need to realize that the world is going to come after us. We need to realize that there's going to be things that is going to upset us. That's going to make us feel like dirt. That's going to make you feel broken. That's going to make you feel hated. That's going to make you feel down and sad. But remember, when we're doing the things God wants us to do, it's not you. It's not you. A lot of Christians don't like that. A lot of Christians don't like it when you get a door slammed in their face, when you get cussed out, when you get people that treat you differently just because you're a Christian. But we need to remember that it's not us. It's not us. And a lot of times, a lot of people drop out of church just because of that. Just because of the fact that they got discouraged of what other people in the world have thought of them or has done to them. We need to remember through those times that it's not you that they have attacked. If we could put in the back of our heads and remember these things, it would help us out in our Christian walk with God. But we don't like it. I don't like it. But it happens. It's going to happen. Because the world does not like what Jesus Christ has to say. But these friends did not care what it is and what it was. They still went forth to do what they committed to do. Don't get discouraged about it all. Don't get discouraged, because it's not your problem. It's not your problem. God will handle the things, but you need to be committed to Him to be able to let Him do those things. And another thing I want you to see is to rejoice. Is to rejoice. Verse 11 through 12. Say unto thee, arise, and take up thy bed, and go thy way into thine house. And immediately he arose, took up thy bed, and went forth before them all, insomuch that they were all amazed, and glorified God, saying, we never saw it in this fashion. We never saw it in this fashion. We need to be rejoicing in this. You see, if you would have given up, you would have never been able to see this happen. You would have never been able to see what it is God had for their friend. He would have never been healed if they would have just gave up. If they would have just gave up. They would have never seen him get healed. How many of us in our lives go out there into the world and just give up because we're done doing what it is? We don't want to keep walking. We don't want to keep getting attacked. This commitment is just not worth it. You would have never been able to see the things. I can guarantee you, keep moving on, and you'll see things that you've never seen before. When you serve God, you will see and hear things you've never thought were possible. You would never know the feeling of rejoicing of a person getting saved. My question to you is, how far are you willing to go? How far are you truly willing to go? Are you willing to keep that commitment to God and move forward and complete the task all the way to the end? Are you willing to see the lost saved? Because if you don't keep that commitment, you're not going to make it to the end. You're not going to make it to the end if you don't continue doing what it is God had for you. I'm not saying the road's easy. It's not. But I can guarantee you it is worth it in the end. It is worth it. These friends would have never seen their friend walk again if they wouldn't have went and been committed to what it is that they had to take them to Jesus Christ. This town will never see Jesus Christ. But with your commitment to Jesus Christ, to go all the way to the end, there's people out there that'll get saved. There's people out there that we can rejoice about. But you're never going to see it if you give up on the rooftop. You can be right there at it and give up. How far are you willing to go? How far are you willing to? It's a choice that you have to personally make. The commitment to God is not an easy commitment, but it's definitely worth it. And you're never on your own. You have family here. Everyone is willing to help another, only if you ask. We're here for one another. We know what Jesus Christ expects of us. But are we willing to keep doing what it is that Jesus Christ has for us? You'll see things that you've never seen before. Go places you've never been before by following Jesus Christ. I can guarantee you, I would not be in Indiana or here or New Mexico if I wasn't following what God had for us. But God takes you on a journey. You're not guaranteed to see where it is you're going all the time, but knowing what it is that you have to do, God will get you where he needs you. But your path is not always an easy one. But it is worth it in the end to see what it is God has for us. It is worth it in the end, as it is a commitment. I will honor Christ, whatever the pain, whatever the cost. How far are you willing to go for Jesus Christ? How far are you willing to go to see the lost saved? How far? Let's pray and then we'll have invitation. If there's something that you're going through, if you know that you're on the verge of giving up, give it to God. If you want the power to keep going, give it to God. Ask God. Jesus Christ is there willing to help you in every step of the way, whatever it is. We don't know your trouble. I don't know your trouble. God already knows what it is, but he wants you to ask. God's willing to help you. God's willing to help you go from point A to point B. There's things that we don't see, that we don't know, that only God does, and he knows exactly how to get you around it. He's never going to give you more than what you can handle, but it'll feel like times that you can't. But we're not alone in it. All we have to do is go to Jesus Christ and